Billy back here with Broship of the Nerds, and I hope you guys are all having a great October. I have been watching some Halloween movies here and there when I've had time, and I'm going to talk about some of them today. So let's start out with a movie I just went and saw in theaters, Casper. Now, Casper, I had a copy of the VHS as a kid, but it's one of those films I just didn't really remember that well because I think I watched it when I was really young and it wasn't one that I really remembered. So they had the 30th anniversary, and my friend and I went to an AMC to see it. There's something special about seeing an older film in theaters because if you're really little and you don't remember it, it's almost like watching it again for the first time, but as an adult with a different lens on a big screen. So whenever I went to see it, I was excited. Now, this film was really fun on the big screen, right? I was with my friend. There was like a family with a bunch of kids, and then there were maybe a few more here and there. So it wasn't like real packed. It was a 5 o'clock on a Wednesday night. So it was middle of the week, and they were doing one showing for this per day on the days that they were playing it. Anyways, so what is Casper? Well, this woman inherits a rundown house, and her attorney go to the house. And of course, they don't think there's anything, but when they throw the will away into the fire, they discover that there's some buried treasure. Like, okay, we got to go to the house. So they go there, but the house is haunted by Casper, along with a trio of mischievous ghosts. So, of course, they go to the house, and these ghosts are messing with them. So, like, we need help. Well, while the nasty lady is in the hotel, the TV's moving around because of Casper, and she calls Bill Pullman's character. And he has a daughter who is played by Christina Ricci, and they go to investigate this house. And of course, Christina Ricci's character is tired of moving. You know, they've been on the go a lot. And I love the cameos here. We saw, it was so great to see. Man, my brain's not working tonight. So great to see all the cameos that went on in there. You had Dan Aykroyd from Ghostbusters make an appearance, and they go, "Who are you going to call?" "Somebody else," and he takes off running. That was just hilarious. And then there's at some point there's like a demolition crew who's going to knock down the house, and they go running off the job because of the ghost. And the story surprisingly has a lot of heart to it because the dad is a single dad now. He's a widower. His wife had passed, and he's been wanting to see her. So these ghosts, he asks for their help, and a trick's played on him, but then they end up feeling bad because he really is grieving heavily. And he doesn't realize that he's being a good dad to his daughter. It's just he's figuring this out as he goes, and he feels like he's let her down in a way. And it's very relatable. I feel like there's a lot of realism to it. Like, you know, struggling to raise a kid on your own. And he's doing the best he can. I really love the father daughter stories. I feel like there's just that special connection there. Because a lot of times it's like a mother daughter or father son. The father daughter or the mother son is always really neat. But I don't know, there's something special about it with the father daughter relationship. And you can tell he really cares for her, and she just wants to be at a school where she can meet some friends. And Casper wants to meet some friends. And at first, when they meet him, they freak out. But then over time, they accept the ghost. The ghosts start accepting them, the mischievous trio, Stinky, Fatso, and the other one. Stretch. Yeah, Stretch. They finally accept him as one of their own. They plan on killing him, and then there's like something he says when he's drunk, and they're like, "Oh, we can't kill him now." And Casper, in the meantime, doesn't really remember anything. So Christina Ricci's character helps him remember, and he wants to come back to life. And I really love this movie. It's just so sweet and so wholesome. There are moments where they're funny. There's moments that are sad. It's one of those rare films that has a lot of heart and it just like pulls you in. Like, yeah, there's a supernatural element to it, but it's not really scary. It's just more about dealing with grief and processing it, and that it's not linear because Christina Ricci's character is processing it different than Bill Pullman's character throughout the film. And I just love the bond that's built between the father daughter, Casper, and her. It's just a lovely film. And so we saw the movie, and then we went and got Olive Garden. Just a perfect night. It's one of those that, like, slow down and appreciate things a little bit, right? Slow down, go see an old film, and it was just a blast. The only thing um, else I will add to these thoughts is that it's really neat to see this nostalgia come up, and parents. It was cool seeing parents bring their kids movies they would have seen when they were kids, and then showing the next generation. It keeps it alive, and it's one of those films I do not own. I need to add to my collection, and I also would like to see Casper Meets Wendy. I haven't seen that one either. That's the one with Hilary Duff, I believe. But yeah, so great movie. Next, we have Hocus Pocus. Now, this movie takes place, this was 1993, because 1693, because 1692 was the Salem witch trials. Well, in 1693, these three are killed. 300 years later, a virgin lights the black flame candle. 300 years down to the day, the witch is back, and now there's hell to pay. The opening to this is sad and unsettling. I was reading a thing that said there were like animals acting crazy and people feeling things, stirring up some ghost activity. You can actually visit the Sanderson House weekends only. The Pioneer Village in Salem, Massachusetts is open on weekends. It's like $5, $6, something like that. We didn't go because when I went to Salem, it was always during the week. The last 2 years I went to Salem, I will not be going this year, maybe next year. But the last 2 years I was in Salem on Halloween itself and a few days prior. And I was there for the history, the Halloween festivities. And being there, you realize these people were just trying to live their lives. And I went down the rabbit hole and I learned to accept that I could never be in Salem in 1692. So my perspective is going to be limited by that, right? There's that limitation that I cannot physically be in Salem in 1692. So the best I can do is guess based on the information I have. My conclusion after reading some books and watching some clips and articles and stuff on YouTube is that each motive for each victim was different, right? Like it was not the same motive for each victim. And it was very tragic. So the fact that they filmed there and they said it was the year after, it said it unsettled some people. The actresses even said it just felt off. The hanging scene felt very realistic. So anyways, 300 years later, there's a boy, Max. He does not believe in Halloween. He's like, it's just a bunch of hocus pocus. Oh, come on, it's just a bunch of hocus pocus. And he just does not believe. Well, he lights the candle because he's with his sister Danny, and he has a crush on Allison, and the trio go to the Sanderson sister house, and he lights the black flame candle. The witches come back, and chaos ensues. A very entertaining film, a must-watch in October. This is one that I actually saw on the big screen. So my local theater, during COVID, shut down. They reopened for a brief period, just long enough to play movies for part of October. This was one of the films they played. So my buddy Brian, Viper, as you guys know, he actually made the trip down here, and we went and saw this on the big screen. And there was something special about seeing this on the big screen. Hocus Pocus is a very great film. It was not, if you actually look at the box office and kind of like the thoughts, it wasn't really the biggest hit. But then it found its audience later, and now every year that I go to Spirit of Halloween, I see more merchandise. Here in town, there's the Sanderson sisters in a yard somewhere. When I went to Salem, there were multiple people dressed as the Sanderson sisters, and I just walked up to them and said, "Amok, amok, amok." But there's a lot of humor in here. Like, they've been gone 300 years, and at one point, there's a scene where they're driving down the car, and she goes, "Let me see your driver's permit." And it's like, Bette Midler's character, it's like, how would she know about that, right? Because there wouldn't have been cars in her day. So stuff like that, just funny stuff. And then the scene that always makes me laugh is whenever Kathy's character is sitting on the couch in Satan's house, and she like screams at the little baby on the screen. I always get a kick out of that. That's one of my favorite scenes. And there was a friend of mine I used to watch this with, and that was also one of his favorite scenes. And so this is about someone who isn't really into the whole Halloween thing, but then they're forced to believe based on experience. So I like this film a lot. It's very fun. You know, they're trying to sacrifice children in order to come back forever. And they have until sunrise, the day after Halloween, November 1st. And Billy Butcherson's really cool. He comes out of the grave and finally talks, and he tells her to go to hell, and she goes, "It's quite nice. Good movie. Need to watch it." Okay. Having said that, Hocus Pocus, great film, but because it's about somebody who doesn't care for Halloween, and then they're forced to believe because of their experience, I didn't connect with that one as much. I enjoy it. I love the protectiveness of Max over Danny, but the following films I connected with more: Halloween Town, Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge, and Halloween Town High. So why these films? 1998, October of 1998, Halloween Town came out. Why are we still talking about this almost 30 years later? What is it? What makes it so special, right? 27 years later, we're still talking about this film. In fact, I'm going to a convention this weekend to meet some of the cast of Halloween Town. Now, what is Halloween Town, right? So, girl named Marnie, 13 years old. On her 13th birthday, Marnie learns she's a witch, discovers a secret portal, and is transported to Halloween Town. So, Marnie, her little sister Sophie, and Dylan are sitting in the living room on Halloween, and Sophie's sitting at the window saying, "Someone's coming." And Dylan's like, "Nobody's coming. No one's coming to visit us. Nobody ever comes over here on Halloween." Marnie's friends and Marnie want to go out trick-or-treating, and her mom has some odd issue, something against Halloween, but we don't find out right away. We do know that the dad is deceased. What happened to cause that, we don't know. We don't know what happened, but we just know he's deceased, and the mom is very okay with being normal. In comes Grandma Aggie, and her famous line is, "Being normal is vastly overrated." I still use that line all the time. So, Halloween Town. You have a girl who loves Halloween, anything to do with witches and the undead and spooky season, but is being discouraged by her mom. And you have Sophie, who's copying Big Sister, and she also wants to go trick-or-treating and enjoying chocolate chip cookies. Her mom's like, "No," and then Sophie brings the chocolate chip cookie over to her magically because she wants it. Her mom has to take it real quick. She's trying to hide her powers. So I don't necessarily blame the mom based on what we find out later, but I do feel like she should be more honest and give Marnie a choice as far as what she wants. So Grandma Aggie comes, and they're trying not to fight, but she goes, "Go spend time with them, read them a story, just whatever you do, don't tell them about home." Well, she reads a story about a place called Halloween Town, and she treats it like a fairy tale, and then she says, "Maybe it is real. I have a book." And so this leads to Grandma leaving. The kids go upstairs. Marnie sneaks down at the bottom of the stairs and overhears Grandma Aggie turn chicken leftovers. She goes, "You know, leftovers are better back on the bone, and she makes a chicken noise, and the chicken turns back into a live chicken. And she finds out that there's something going on in Halloween Town. There's a force that is causing people to turn mean, and then they disappear altogether. So, and Marty finds out she's a witch, and her 13th birthday is supposed to mark the completion of her training. And she hasn't even started training yet. So Marnie tells her brother Dylan, and he's like, no. And then he was like, all right, fine, we'll go. So they decide to follow their grandma, who gets onto a bus. Sophie's asleep, and they go to Halloween Town. Then they find out Sophie was actually pretending to sleep, and she snuck onto the bus at some point. We don't see it, it happens off screen, so I'll give him a break on that one. They go to Halloween Town, and they're trying to help their grandma fight the bad thing, as Sophie calls it. And Sophie's very powerful in this one because she wishes that the lock would turn into a frog, and then she gets the door to open. And so she shows a lot of promise early. So I'm giving away the plot. You've probably all seen this. But what makes it so special? The relationship between a grandmother and her granddaughter. So you have Marnie and Debbie Reynolds as Agatha Cromwell. And they have such a great relationship. You know, my great grandma was a character, not obsessed with Halloween like Aggie is and not living in a Halloween world, but they have a lot of the same energy. And I really love that. And one of my friends, when we went to Salem dressed up as Grandma Aggie, she actually has like the hooded jacket and everything. And we just need to make the handbag now that can walk or follow her or whatever. But what makes this so special is you have someone that wants to be different, that loves the unique and crazy and weird. And then she learns it's all real. There's another world out there. And so they try to figure out who the bad guy is, and grandma and mom's going to take them home. She shows up at Halloween Town. Of course, her and grandma in the theater get frozen, and then they have to go get the ingredients to save them, and then they defeat the big bad, who's revealed to be none other than Mayor Calabar. And then they defeat him, trap him in the talisman, relight the pumpkin, and then Grandma Aggie's offered to live with them. The second one is Calabar's revenge. We find out he had a son named Cal who steals Aggie's spellbook, and he puts the gray spell on Halloween Town to turn everyone plain and boring, and takes away, and that way they're not using their powers. And then in the human world, he's turning all the humans into creatures that they're dressed as a Halloween party. And so they have to defeat him, and they're like, he'll be back, and we'll be ready. The third one, Halloween Town High, is Marnie is put in charge of a group of students from Halloween Town due to accidentally betting the Cromwell magic that humans have changed. And in the meantime, the knights who have been gone for over 1,000 years have returned, and they are doing something in the mortal world. And Marnie and Grandma Aggie and Mom are all trying, and Dylan's there too, and they're trying to make this program a success. And they're saying that they're foreign exchange students from Canada, and they ultimately have to defeat the head of the council who is behind all the shenanigans. So why are these films so good? Yeah, they're cheesy, but that was a sign of the time. It's the strong relationship between grandma and granddaughter. And the first three films do a great job with Grandma Aggie and Marnie and the Cromwells. And then when I look back on it, the mom, Gwen, you have to have her, and you have to have Dylan the way they are, because you need balance, right? Because Aggie and Marnie and Sophie love Halloween. They love Halloween Town and all this. Well, if you had Gwen and Dylan agreeing and loving Halloween Town too, then you have no opposites. You don't have that inner family clash and growth development. So the way they did it, when you look back on it, was perfect, because mom brings balance to it all. And she is perfectly fine with being normal. And she has to learn to accept, to let go a little bit, to let her daughter explore her love for Halloween and wanting to be a witch. Whereas she still has witch powers, and she was trained as a witch, but she herself really doesn't want to live in the Halloween Town and Halloween world. So that's what I liked about the series a lot, is that mom stays true to who she is, but she does go through a character growth, character arc, whatever you want to call it, story arc. So that's what it is. These movies are fun and they mean a lot to me. Okay, next up is Beetlejuice. Why this one? Well, Beetlejuice and its sequel are both really fun. The first one is about a couple who are on vacation and they're just staying at home. They're going to go get a few supplies, but they don't remember getting back to the house when their car flips and they drown. And so it's them accepting that they died, and just the characters they meet on the way. They want the house to themselves. They do everything they can to try to scare out the Dietz family. But the Maitlands are unsuccessful, and they get the help of the Beetle guy. And he comes in and causes chaos and havoc. And what I like about it is he actually has very little screen time, but when he shows up, it's a big deal, and he has such a strong character. And I like that, though, because if you had him on screen too much, it just doesn't work as well. So I like that we see him here and there, but they're high points. And the Maitland couple are really good in the first one. And ultimately, they do end up being okay with the family. They can coexist, and they raise Lydia. They help take care of her. And it's so great because it gives them purpose. And she says, most people ignore or don't pay attention to the strange and unusual. I myself am strange and unusual. And my friend says that all the time, that most people ignore the strange and unusual, and that we are the strange and unusual. And then its sequel, times two, is more about three generation of Dietz women accepting the death of the grandpa, going through grief, healing from their trauma, healing from the loss of not only their grandfather, but of Astrid's father, and everything else. It's just they're so fun to watch, and there's a lot of family things in there. And I really like that movie. Another one I really like, and I just watched it for the first time in a couple of years, Edward Scissorhands. I forgot how much I love this film. I sat down and rewatched it. And Edward Scissorhands, I do have a copy of that one, is about a guy who his inventor died, and he was never finished, so he has scissors for hands. And he is accepted into a family, and then Edward's played by Johnny Depp, and Winona Ryder plays the daughter of the couple that takes him in. And he learns to adapt, but then the mean boyfriend of Winona Ryder's character causes problems, tries to get him to steal. He gets in trouble with the law, and then he starts attacking, and he kills Winona Ryder's boyfriend in the movie. And then they say they killed each other, but he's actually still alive. I really liked this film a lot. Sleepy Hollow is another one I really enjoy. That one is really good. It has a star-studded cast. The Crow couple is set to be married on Halloween, and the night before they are killed, he dies instantly. She survives for a while and then dies in the hospital. Really like that one. That one's a revenge film, and it's another one of those that should never ever be attempted to be redone. They've already done remake attempts and sequel attempts, and they've fallen flat. I say leave it alone unless you're going to tell a new Crow story, not Eric Draven, but a different Crow in the same universe. And I would love to see Ernie Hudson come back and say the line from the first film about carrying the soul to the land of the dead, and then sometimes something bad happens, so bad that the crow returns, will bring that soul back to set the wrong things right. Something along those lines. Great film. That's one that I have not watched in a bit. My dad introduced me to it. It was one that I used to watch every Halloween. We had the VHS, but because I have a bigger Halloween collection now, I don't repeat the same films every year with the exception of Halloween Town. That's an automatic. Every year I have to watch it in October. Doesn't matter what's going on in my life, I will always go back to those films. So that tells you what I think of those. But The Crow is one of those one of my other friends has never seen, and I definitely want to show her that. So that's a good one. And then a couple of more here. Paranorman. That one's about a boy who can see the dead, but everybody thinks he's crazy because at the beginning of the film, he talks to his deceased grandmother, and she says, "Would you tell him to turn that heat up? My feet are freezing." and they just think that he's crazy because he's talking to the dead, and they don't think that's legitimate. So these are some of the films. Oh, and to finish my thoughts, sorry, getting tired, brain dead. No, to finish my thoughts on that one, Paranorman. What I like about it is he is trying to figure out what went down with this so-called witch, and it's kind of like Salem in a way, where is she really a witch or is she not? Like what's going on here? And how and does Norman relates to her in a way? And I really like that one. And then I have some other ones that I sort of rotate in and out that I can watch. Like Coco, I can watch anytime, but I do have other films like Abigail. That is one that I've saw in theaters once, and then I watched it with my buddy Eddie on our other channel, the Trick or Treaters, and now I'm part of even another channel. What's a channel? It's an animal. A channel about an animal? No. So a channel called Chatterbox, one word, that's Chatterbox, and then this space cinema. So Chatterbox Cinema just launched today, actually, as we speak, and we do discussions about film. We are going to be doing deep dives on films, watching them, writing plot points or different things we noticed or liked about the film, and then giving it a rating out of 10. So 1 to 10 out of 10. And that's how we're going to be doing that. So I just wanted to come on here, take some time. We're still going to be doing content. I just wanted to get on here to make something and say, yes, we're still around. Life's been happening. Lots been going on. So we haven't been able to make as many videos as we'd like. Couple of other ones I recommend. I Know What You Did Last Summer. That one's really good. The original. Lisa Frankenstein. Different. Good. I'm not going to say it's like the best film ever. There are things I would have liked to have seen done differently, especially playing into the 80s tropes more and getting in more into the 80s, but I still like what they did overall in the film. It's not a bad film by any means. And then Zombieland, I don't watch those on Halloween. I watch those anytime. Same thing with American Carnage with Ortega, Jenna Ortega. That's one. There's other ones out there, 13 Ghosts, Return of the Living Dead, so many good films. Leave me a comment. Let's get the conversation going, guys. What are your must watch films during October or spooky season in general, right? Because I watch scary movies all the time, but September and October is just amped up. I watch them more frequently. I will dedicate more time to watching scary films or even kid friendly stuff like Halloween Town during October. So let me know in the comments what Halloween films are must watch for you. Also Fear Street, and I've talked to those about those movies at length here on this channel. So pop over onto the channel, you'll find our review, my review for the Fear Street films. Still love all of those. But that's all I've got for tonight. So take care and hope you have a good spooky season.